All right, folks, it's that time again to get ready for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, episode 14 of season 6, entitled Mother. Now, before we get this episode started, I just want to let you all know that this is a review, so it's not spoilers, and this is just enough to get you all hype, prepared, and provide a little bit of emotional context as to what's going to happen in this week's episode. Also have to premise, because of comments on my last video, that it is a privilege to get these screeners early, and in doing so, I have no desire in providing spoilers for you all. If you don't believe I get screeners, then that's perfectly fine. I mean, if you got any form of negativity behind things, that's perfectly fine. But for the ones who are positive, showing love and support each and every episode, I appreciate it because I do it for you all. And as a Walking Dead fan, I like to, have a little bit of an indication as to what's in store this week. I don't need to know spoilers to have some type of indication of like, oh my God, you don't want to miss this episode. Or like, this is game changer. Or like, this one's kind of chill, whatever it may be. So I appreciate the love and support from the positive folks. And for the negative folks, keep doing what you're doing because the positive folks got my back. Nonetheless, let's get into this week's episode. So, I never look at the week's promo for Walking Dead episode. Because why would I? I'm seeing it early, so I don't need to see the promo videos and all that to know what's happening. But this week I did, and I could not believe that this week, in the promo, they showed that Cole is back, which is a huge thing. Like, I would have left it for the episode because I would have left it for fans to be thoroughly surprised. Like, a character we've been kind of wanting to know the whereabouts of him. Where is he? And here he is. And, like, that's like kind of game changer. And I love, like, surprises like that in episodes. And also, too, like, the fact that Dakota's in this episode in any capacity is kind of a big deal to me, too. Like, when they first introduced him in this episode, I was kind of like, oh, okay, didn't see that coming. But it's in the promo, so it's not a spoiler, and here we are. So Dakota and Cole are in this episode alongside of Alicia and Teddy. Now, we know that Alicia has been held prisoner by Teddy. And as the synopsis reads, she reunites with old friends, which obviously isn't Dakota because they're not friends, but they're talking about Cole and friends so that, Cole doesn't come by himself. So we get to see who Cole has been hanging out with, who has survived, how they survived, what are they up to, and they all, have a conversation together in regards to, like, Alicia, what's been up with you? We appreciate what your mom's done for us. How are you surviving? Where's Nick? Because they're not even aware of that as well, too. So, like, a lot of catching up on that. But beyond that, let's go to Teddy, because this episode does give us a lot of context about the background of Teddy. Teddy was in jail. My man was on death row. That's all I'm going to say. And you see where that lifestyle provided some context as to why he operates the way he does. He even uses some jail techniques in this episode. So we get a little bit of understanding why the way he's wired the way he is. We also get a little bit of more of the understanding about the statement. The end is where the end is the beginning statement come from, essentially destroying to rebuild. So we kind of see where all that is coming about. And, while Teddy's a really sick individual, like, people buy into him because they believe he has changed and whatnot. And he's a trickster because he comes off in this episode as being really manipulative, playing games and all sorts of little hints to kind of get his way. But nonetheless, he is alongside of Alicia, who I guess lets her out so that Alicia can get a vision of what he's up to. So ultimately, Alicia, along with us, the viewers, we're all trying to figure out, like, what is Teddy's deal? What's up his sleeve? And, like, what's the whole thing with his psychology and philosophy? Like, what's up with him? And that's what this episode is kind of premised around. And while they are an underground community, which we know that community has definitely been compromised and kind of burnt up, we get an indication that, they got to find someplace else to stay. But we also, we get an understanding as to why living underground was the decision. And like that episode where we saw them underground, we saw how they were operating, but why? And for me, I was thinking like, people just live random places, wherever they can find. But now we get a little bit more indication as to why underground. And as crazy as it sounds, it's not a bad idea. But nonetheless, Alicia, this episode in regards to her was truly about Alicia being the #1 draft pick in the zombie apocalypse. Like, everybody's lobbying for her to join their community. Teddy's trying to get her to buy in. Cole's like, hey, we're back. Plus, I have an IOU because of what Madison's done. Would love to have you. And so on. You know, Alicia's just so badass. She's just ice cold no matter whatever the situation is. And she just shows no fear regardless. So, you know, with that being said, you know, Dakota's just looking for somebody to bond with at this point. Alicia obviously is not fond of her, but like Dakota's been kind of doing her own investigation, which ultimately lands her in with everybody else. So we see the three of them kind of on this journey together. And all this is like in the promo, which is kind of like, you know, we're giving, I'm not gonna say major things, but like, I think that would have still been a really good like factor to like leave out, you know, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to buy people into the episodes. But nonetheless, you know, with this episode, I will say that this episode took some really unique and interesting twists that I didn't see coming. I also didn't like them, and I also did not like how this episode kind of resolved. And that's not to say it was bad. I'm just saying I didn't like it. I wish, for what this episode presents, that we could have got more of it. You know, more depth into this and more exploring the certain things that they kind of start to drive down this road a little bit. And just as the fan, you know, you just want a little bit more context as to certain things that they didn't spend enough time on. And that's it is what it is. But like, again, for me, liking the episode for what it's worth, like I just wish it could have got a little bit more. And then with the title Mother, which is a very interesting thing as well, which they do explain. With that being said, this episode definitely has some really funny moments. At least I thought they were funny and awkward as well too. But like, I think it really plays towards Teddy's character, you know, in being the one to kind of dictate what happens with Alicia and everybody he comes into contact with. So some of these like funny yet awkward yet, wait, is this actually a smart thing type of moments that are happening? All premised around like Teddy. Like, I feel like as a viewer, we're almost like tempted to buy into Teddy's philosophy. That's just how strong-minded and willed he is in this episode. So, but yeah, you know, it was cool to see Cole back. Huge spoiler for them to put that in the promo, but you know, it doesn't take away from the excitement of the episode, along with other people that Cole is with. And then the interesting conversations between Alicia and Cole. Alicia and Teddy and the conversations that they're having. This Teddy overall is just kind of just like a nutcase, but like, hey, it is what it is. And then like Dakota's is, you know, who gets a new nickname. I don't know if I said that already. You know, she's always in the back of your head because you know we can't trust her from all the previous things that she's done, and she's just there, like a thorn in the foot. Like you know she's there. And you know, regardless of anything in this episode, it's always like she's just always there. You just never know. But yeah, check out this episode, folks. I definitely am curious to know what some of you all thoughts are. So definitely jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, predictions, and so on. And you can watch this episode May 20th on AMC Plus and on AMC May 23rd. So again, this is episode 14, Mother. Drop in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts about it. And as always, stay tuned because we got more non-spoiler reviews each and every week of Fear the Walking Dead. Thank you for tuning in, folks.